Kumar. You can give a big hand to him. He's very knowledgeable and expert in the field of research and having expertise of econometrics and time series. So we are very lucky to have him here. So, and he has published many research papers and has attended many national and international conferences. So we are very delighted and excited, sir, to hear you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Today I will going to speak on what determines total factor productivity. Should I hold this? Today I am going to speak on this topic, what determines total factor productivity in India, these empirical investigations. You know, India is a developing country, and because this course is focused on this efficiency and the productivity, so we need to focus that why this productivity is so important, and that's why I choose this topic, the total factor productivity. And when we talk about this productivity, then you should be clear that this production and the productivity both are separate actually concepts. You can increase the production by let's have some input like land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship. These are the four basic input actually. You can increase the production, but whether the productivity is there or not, you need to measure it, and it is very much important because you need to, like when we taking the case of India, then I will show the further slide that the productivity is we are performing well in total factor productivity. But there are some loopholes also that we need to focus. So this topic is, you will find it some applied area, some the practical area, and some policy implications also. That what the policy makers at the India level, at the ministry level, they should concern about that because this productivity is not only depend on one factor. This total factor productivity that you are considering all the factor inputs. Like in production functions, this the Q, if you can recall this, Q is the output, is a function of labor and capital. So you are taking both here actually, and we are when we are considering the more factor inputs like the entrepreneurship and the technology, then it's become more complicated, and you can take more. But now the question is that how you are, or how, in what best possible way you are going to utilize your input actually. Like the land, that how, like in India, how you are going to utilize your land actually in an efficient way, because the economics is there, the sir is talking about the efficiency and how efficiently you are actually using your resources. The India is huge resources, but it is up to us that how we are actually converting that input into the output actually. And then the other aspect is labor aspect. So India is a huge population, and we have a demographic dividend also. But the main focus is the skilled labor actually. Whether it's labor, but it is my concern is whether we have skilled labor or not. That is much more important. The technology aspect, the third aspect, the technology. Then we need to have focus on the latest technology, not on the absolute technology. The fourth aspect is the entrepreneurial aspect. The government of India is making huge efforts for boosting these entrepreneurial activities by by training programs, by some of the institutions from IIT and IIM, and there are some institutions that like EDII, that is the Entrepreneurial Development Institute of India. They are promoting entrepreneurial education so that our our youth, they come forward and just opt for the new ventures, they create new ventures. Okay, so this topic is, you will find it some more some practical aspect as well as some policy implications. Now you can see when we are talking about the productivity, so the productivity is, it's a measure of economic performance. In economic parameters, we can separate, we can some of the economic measures, there are some economic measures, there are some social measures, like the GDP is economic measures, and like the social measure, like the HDI is a social measure, Human Development Index. So the productivity at national level, when we are measuring the productivity, so it is considered as the economic measure. Then the productivity can be like in policy making purposes, we use the productivity. We can determine or we can calculate productivity in a different by taking different formulas. Like we can calculate this capital productivity, we can calculate material productivity, labor productivity when you are taking labor only and other things remains constant, and then total factor productivity by taking all the factor inputs. And now this sometimes it is also known as the multi-factor productivity, as it is generally calculated as the ratio of the aggregate output to the aggregate inputs. So every country want to increase the aggregate output actually. So let's assume that in India we want to increase our GDP. So you can say, okay sir, it is the aggregate output that we need to focus on, and how we can increase aggregate output. That is we should use our input in efficient way. That is, it is direct labor capital and entrepreneurships. And sometimes you can say it's and total factor productivity. It's a key indicator actually for the policymakers at the national levels. And this total factor productivity is actually also used to calculate whether the business is actually cost effective or not. As is in the previous lecture, I was talking about that it is the cost that should be focused on. You should minimize the cost, but you should minimize the cost, but you cannot compromise on the quality standards. So you need to focus on the quality parameters also, so that at the international level you can compete. Okay. Then I am just highlighting one concept, that is the Japan Productivity Center concept on this productivity, that how the developed economy, because India is still developing, and we need to focus on many parameters. In Japan, actually, one philosophy is there, that is the Kaizen philosophy, and this philosophy is actually focused on continuous improvement. And this continuous improvement, and that is why this Japan Productivity Center, they are actually taking in productivity as it's a attitude of mind actually. It's a continuous effort. It is not like that you are just focusing on the machine and you are just technology. It is also our attitude, how we are taking it, whether we are taking it seriously or not. Okay, then they also define this productivity is the continuous efforts in every method, every techniques, and you can see they are using the productivity as a faith in human, the progress. Now there are 3 P's that are also important in the productivity. Before we go in detail, you should learn that these 3 P's are also very much important for the productivity. That is the prepare, plan, and then performs. Suppose in India, we are talking in our classes that okay, we are in India we can frame very much good plans, but where is the implementation part? That is much more important. That whether you are going to implement or not. You can draft many schemes, but the implementation is more important. That you are really implement or not. Many schemes are there like Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao, but okay, we framed very good schemes, but the implementation part is good or not, that you need to check, you need to have a monitoring, because you need to check the efficiency, whether efficiently and effectively we actually implement that scheme or not. Then this 80-20 principle is also very much important. That actually sometimes known as the Pareto principle. That you may be familiar, and if you are not familiar, then you should take into consideration because it is very much important. And this, according to this principle of productivity, that the 80% of the output is the result of 20% of the input. That means if we focus on the input, then we can increase the output. You can see that 20% of the input are putting 80% of the outputs. And if we can increase the 20 to 30 or 30 to 40, then you can do some dramatical things to the output actually. And I am just putting these. I am just focusing on the aggregate level, India level, that how we can improve the total factor productivity in India. Now, this total factor productivity is a measure of whether how we are efficiently. So in India, I am just going to in the next slide you will find some data, and then you will compare the India with some other developing country whether we are performing or not in science. Like the entrepreneurships. If I am asking you that you are some scholar and the PG students, then how many of you are actually after your PhD you are going to establish new ventures or you start the new business? So maybe you will. I can just have an experiment and we can see that whether our youth is actually making some sense toward the creation of the new jobs or not. Because this is much important because we want to increase aggregate. We want to create aggregate demand as well as increase aggregate supply. Because this aggregate supply determines our GDP. Actually, this is the and that is the outcome of the production. And the production, if you are increasing the production and if you are taking care of all these factors, that means you are also taking care of the productivity as well. So this is very important to have a consideration on aggregate demand, aggregate supply, the factor inputs, land, labor, capital, entrepreneurships, and then how you use efficiently, you should take into consideration also. Now, when we are talking about this total factor productivity, you should consider the concept first. This total factor productivity is actually, you can see, is developed by Timbergen in 1942 and further elaborated by Stigler in 1947. And actually in 1957, Professor Robert Solow, have you heard about the Professor Robert Solow, the Nobel laureate, who propounded one very important concept, that is the Solow residuals, and this Solow residual is actually capture the impact of technical developments. Suppose you have a PPF, that is the production possibility frontier, and you want to increase that PPF from A point to B point, so that you need to have, whether you need to increase labor and capital or you need to have some improved technology to shift from one point to another points. So Professor Robert Solow actually propounded the Solow residuals, and he actually focused on these technical aspects because he said that this factor productivity is the result of actually technical developments. And further, Professor Robert Barrow in 1999 proved that this total factor productivity reflects a shift in the production function due to the technological progress. That means he focused on it is the technology that is more important to shift the productivity A level to B level. That if you want to increase the productivity, like in India, if you want to, suppose you are using handlooms in textile industry, but nowadays we have the power looms. If you are still using the handlooms, you cannot increase the productivity and you will left behind in the global scenario. So that means we need to focus on the technological progress. We need latest technology. Otherwise, you are globally in competitive, you are nowhere actually. So the Professor Barrow focused on the technological aspects, but you know there are some contradictory view also in research. Professor Bach in 2001 said that okay, the total factor productivity can be increased without improving technology. So you will find in research, you will find some, you know, the favorable, some contradict. So it is the research that, suppose I want to make the research in India, so I have to take some indicators to improve. So next slide you will find some data, and then I am just going to prove that okay, these factors are important to increase our total factor productivity. Then in 1967, Professor Johnson argued, and others depend on the economy of scale. This economy of scale is also very much important because the three concepts are there. One is the increasing return to scale, constant return to scale, and decreasing return to scales. Now you can see here, this is the generalized form of this Cobb-Douglas form. Q is the output, and A R L raised to the power alpha, K raised to the power beta. In economics, actually, when we teaching the applied area, we actually discussing these functions, that how you increase this Q. And Q is nothing but Q is the output here. Now if you are operating, suppose you want to operate at the increasing return to scale, then you need to look at alpha and beta actually. And what alpha and beta stand for, these are the elasticities. These are the elasticities. Okay, thank you. So now, am I audible? Yes. Okay. Now you can see here this here you can see here this is the Cobb-Douglas production function. It's a homogeneous function actually. It's a homogeneous. Whether mic is working or not?
एक बार चेक कर लेते हैं सर. एक बार कुछ बोलना सर एक बार.
Hello.
नहीं तो माइक नहीं कर रखा हूँ.
So now you can see here if this is the output, and is the labor, K is the capital, and this alpha and the output elasticity alpha. Okay, good. I'm comfortable, please. Okay, good. So you can take it if it is possible, then just take it. So now you can see this, if alpha plus beta is equal to 1, then it is the constant return to scale, and if alpha plus beta is greater than 1, it is the increasing return to scale. And every farm and economy wants to operate here alpha plus beta is greater than 1 because we want increasing return to scale. Okay, it's a homogeneous functions. So that means if you are taking labor and capital, so you need to focus on both. It's not that these elasticities are also very much important when you want to increase the production. Now the question is that what are the factors that are actually affecting this total factor productivity? Like in India, if you want to talk about that how we can increase the productivity. So these are some factors through review literature, there are some factors that I have written here. There are other factors also. So what kind of the factors that are contributing to the total factor productivity? Now like the gross capital formation, there is the most important factors. In my finding, you will find this factor is the most important. In India, actually, because we are low infrastructures, we need more roads, we need more hospitals, more education institutions, we need more fixed capitals, we need, this gross capital formation is maybe the factors. Then skilled labor, it's not the labor, but I have written here the skilled labor that, and now the government is focusing skilled India, okay, make India skilled India. And every institution, whether it is education and or the technical institutions, focus on okay, please increase the. Suppose you are MBA and you are a doctorate, and if you are not able to have analytical skills, then no need of that degree actually. So this skilled labor is important. Then R&D, the research and development. I'm talking about the India as a whole. So you know, in India actually the research and development, the expenditure as percentage of GDP is very low. So we need to think on research and development also. It's less than 1% of the GDP. We are
0.69.
0.69. So that means we want to we want to shift from developing to the developed nation. So it is much required factor that we need to increase this share of research and development part. Then governance. You know, there are many indicators, the governance indicators. Okay, shifting on the e-governance is good, but whether we are performing well there, so we need to look, and because we have international, I will show you some, you know, the international statistics also, then you will realize that, okay, we need to think here also, because if we want to increase the total factor productivity, because these are the factors to review literatures. Then human development, you know, the latest human development report, we stand at 130, I think 134 position out of I think 179 or 180 countries. So it's need to focus on that also. Then technological development is also, you know, the factor that is much more important nowadays. Okay, we have 4G, 5G, but we should you know compare these, whether this kind of the for example, this kind of the internet availability is in rural areas, in all areas. I am working since 2010 on the social developments, and I have many papers and I find huge disparity in India in social aspects. So that is also much a big factors. Then that is why I written the societal progress, whether we have really societal progress, because in social progress index we are lagging behind when we are internationally, and you can see the disparity in the at the state level, district level, and some of the states are, even in Haryana you can see some districts are leading and some are lagging behind. Then entrepreneurial development, that is only I will show you some of the factors that you will realize that how many our graduates are actually interested in starting new ventures, whether they are really, suppose you completed your MBA and you want to start your MBA, whether the availability of all the resources are there or not. Then the foreign capital inflows and outflows, FDI and OFDI. Intellectual property is also very much important, whether how many of patents, patent, marks, trade secrets, how many files are there, how you like how many patents are filed by the Indians. Okay. Then the trade and many other factors. These are some of the factors that are contributing to the total factor productivity. Now, this is the trend. You can see this is the trend pattern of the total factor productivity in the case of India from you can see 1999 to 2022. It's an increasing trend. You can see it's a good sign, but we need to focus more, and we need more, actually more. You can see then this is the trend pattern of total patent granted to India. So it's you can see it's increasing, and then you can see the increasing from 2014 and then but okay, when you compare this data with some other country like China and USA, then you will find okay, we are lagging behind and we need to think more. Okay, I am just showing a few figures to you. Then now you can see this is very important data, that the percentage of 18 to 64 populations who is in between 18 to 64 and who either a nascent entrepreneur, that means an individual who try to establish a new business. So these are the figures, and it's a zigzag motion, you can see, and the source is actually Global Entrepreneurship Monitor. Anyone, you can visit that site and you can download the data and you can compare the data on India and the other country, and you can then you will realize that okay, this total factor productivity, because the input factor is entrepreneurship also, you know, it's not only landed labor and capital, but technology is there, the entrepreneurship is there, then all the factor input combined with that increase this total factor output. Now this is the total factor productivity index value comparison with some other countries. Now you can see the Brazil, China, India, Japan, and United States. So these are the data from Federal Reserve's economic data, and you can compare. You can compare with some of the developed country, and because India is a, but one thing you must remember that India is a huge, has a huge population. You know, we are labor intensive economy, and the America is a capital intensive economy. We need to focus more on labor actually. If suppose we shift our economy from the labor to the capital, then where our youth actually find the jobs actually. So we need to take into consideration that factor also, because we need to employ our youth labor that is, and that why we need to skill them. We need to have courses so impart the technical knowledge. Then it is the index of total factor productivity index. You can see different countries: China, India, Brazil, United States, and Japan. Now I am focusing on some empirical investigation that by taking the case of India. Now I have taken few factors so that I can show you this how much this capital formation is important for total factor productivity actually. Now you can see this total factor productivity. This data is actually taken from Federal Reserve Economic Database at constant national level price. So these are the databases internationally we collect, and we run some model, and then we prove whether these macroeconomic factors are contributing positively or negatively through some some of the econometric models. So this is the dependent variable total factor productivity, whether how what determines, that means how the total factor productivity is determined. I am taking this TRD, that is the trade percentage of GDP, from WDI, that is the World Development Indicator database. This database is maintained by World Bank. Then ENT, total entry stage internal activities. So this data is also from Global Entrepreneurship Monitor. Then ICT goods imports as a percentage of total imports. ICT stand for I think everybody is aware about the ICT, information, communication, and technology goods import, from percentage of total imports. That is also taken from World Development Indicators. Then GCF, gross capital formation percentage of So this factor I am focusing on the gross capital formation, that we need more fixed capitals, roads, dams, this and that, and health sectors. We need more expenditures, and that the PAT, that is the patent filed. Total patent or granted by WIPO sites. So that I want to check whether these some of the macro indicators they are whether they have some impact on this total factor productivity or not. So I am taking this India data from some international databases. Now this is the basic econometric model. You can see here this is the LN, that is the natural logarithm on total factor productivity, and this is the equation. Then you can see here the TFP, the total factor productivity, and these are and all variables are transformed into the natural logarithms. Now these are the results. These are the actually when you are running a time series model, because the data is actually from 1999 to 2022. So we need to actually stationarize the data. Actually, there could be no stationarity. So you will see at first difference all variables are the stationary, and so now this is the results of long run ARDL model. Now you can see here this is the R square, this is the 0.99, 0.99, and this is R square 0.99. That means the model is good fit, and Durbin Watson is near to 2.2, that is also very good, and F statistics also significant. So now you can see here this is the dependent variable, the total factor productivity, and the coefficients, all coefficients are, you can see here this gross capital formation, this coefficient is at 10% level of significance. It's contributing positively toward the total factor productivity. So that means and you can see here the entrepreneurial activities also have positive impact and significant at 5% level of significance. Then ICT is it's a 1%, around 1% level of significance. So that means all the factors that we have taken, you can see here, we have taken the total factor. We have taken is the entrepreneurial activities, the ICT goods import, percentage of total imports, gross capital formations, and patents. That means they are contributing positively toward the total factor productivity. So that means we need to think at the policy level. If you are making policy, that means this total factor productivity is not only you are just focusing on the labor or on one aspect and the two aspect, but the many aspects that you need to consider many things. If you at aggregate level you want to increase the aggregate outputs. Like for example, we want to increase the GDP in India because the government of India is now they focusing on the 5 trillion government. We should lead toward the 5 trillion. So don't you think that we should use our resources efficiently and that how we can increase the output, the 5 trillion, that means the GDP, the real GDP. How we can increase the output, we should use our input in the more efficient way, or we can use some more technology. We can increase the entrepreneurial activities because the factory input is the entrepreneurship. So these are the results that are actually very important at the policy level, and because that the policy makers would consider it because it is not one and two factors that are important, but it's a large number of factors, macroeconomic factors that are important actually. These are the two figures that the question and question scale test. These are that test the model fitness, that the model is good fit. Okay, that reliable. You can rely on this model, the statistics. Now that okay, that means this total factor productivity of any country is not only the labor and capital, but more needs to be taken into considerations. Okay, now the significance of this productivity, that why we need to increase the total factor productivity in India actually. The first thing is the developed economy vision. Now the India since 1947 we are looking okay. We can in 1971 we started the how we should eliminate this poverty, but still the poverty is there. Okay, now we want to have a developed path, but still we are in the developing stage. Now the government is focusing on the achieving 5 trillion economy. So don't you think that means we want to increase the production output? So that means we need to increase our productivity at least. Because suppose you have limited input and you want to increase the output, so that means you need to increase your productivity. Okay. So the first thing is that okay, if India wants to become the developed economy, then we need to focus on this productivity level. The productivity of each and every aspect, the labor. We need skilled labor, efficient labor. If you are the student, if you are, suppose if you are 24 hours, if you are not putting your 14, 15 hours, you can calculate your efficiency every day, that whether you are efficient or not, whether you are productive or not. Okay. Then the second is the breaking vicious circle of poverty. We cannot break vicious circle of poverty without there is a mechanisms until date the India is in this vicious circle of poverty. We need to break this vicious circle of poverty through aggregate demand, aggregate supply mix. So it's a macroeconomics that how we can break, but this productivity is wonderful things. If we can make our youth productive, then we can break this vicious circle of poverty. But this may be this is not a simple thing. The productivity, it is the must thing. The essential things. Then boosting improve quality of life of the farmer as well as other side of the society. Nowadays, you want to improve if you increase the total factor productivity, that will increase the aggregate output. Aggregate output means that you are increasing. That means your GDP is big. And if your GDP is big, that means you have more per capita and you have more. That means economically you are your population is your population have a high per capita income, and that means we can say that if you are economically good, that means we can say that you are okay. You can earn your basic, the food, shelter, clothes, and so other things. So we can say that we can just if you want to improve the state of the society, that you need to productivity. Productivity leads to the higher GDP actually in macro sense. In macro sense. Then boosting manufacturing competitiveness. This productivity, our GDP, we are more service. Our GDP is more contribution is actually coming from the service sectors. But we need manufacturing. We have huge labor and you need employed actually. So this is the boosting the manufacturing community. We need to focus on making India. We need to export actually. We need to export. Okay. Then demographic dividend. We should focus on the quality of education. If you have huge population but without skill, then what is the need of that population? So the dividend is actually we can cash that dividend by only imparting good health and good education. If you are educated and if you are employed, and then you can create and you can contribute to the economy, and you can. I think you can. That means that this human capital is also much important. It's not the machine. Machines are also good. Technology is good, but the human capital is also much important. Then that's why I have written here into SBI and SPI, the human development aspect, the social progress aspect. If suppose in India, one region is developed and another is lagging behind, like the Bihar is, the ones we are talking about the Bimaru states, or the Bihar is the number one. But like so say in Haryana, one district is very low and other districts are very high. So the disparity you will find social disparities, and you will find some other kind of the problems you will find in the society, and that will lead to lower the GDP actually. Okay. Then this increase aggregate demand and aggregate supply. But in India, now there are some challenges to improve. It's not easy at country level. Like in India, you want to at the policy. Suppose you are at the ministry level and you want to improve. So you at least you should have some point that okay, these are the points that I should look into consideration. Like the factor market reforms today in India, labor laws, the farmer laws, and if somebody is making good law, then the implementation is you will find a difficult, and if suppose the implementation, then execution and some you will find a delays. Maybe that are the bureaucratic delays and what you can say. There are less health expenditure. When the expenditure, the government expenditure part is taking care, you are considered. Then you will find, in India, we are the health expenditure from the health expenditure as a percentage of GDP, you will find it very low. So we need more health infrastructure actually. We need more AIMS, we need more PGIs. It's not the private sector that will increase everything. Because the good health, if our labor force have good health and the good everything, they can contribute more to the national GDP. Okay, good output. Then education expenditure, in the top 100, I think QS ranking and the quality of everybody wants the quality education. If suppose you have degree, you have MBA, and suppose you have doctorate degree, and you will find no jobs, then what is the reason behind that? You should ask yourself. So it's a good quality of education, and that means the government should. Okay, suppose we have nowadays we have more than 20 IIMs and 20 IITs. Don't you think that the India is a huge population country, and you need more IITs and more IIMs and more facilities? Okay, it's not either 20 or 22. It's not when we compare the population actually. That means the educational institution must be based on the number of youth, the population, the size, the strata. Okay. Like in Haryana, we have one IIM Rohtak, okay. But I think the total intake will be how much? Less than 500. Okay, IIT Delhi. How many you that can? So we need to think on this aspect that we have a huge population. Everybody, suppose A, B, C are want to become medical professionals. There's some there must be some seat for the intelligent students. We need to think on this aspect. Then jobless growth. We have growth, but there are some written, many research paper that India is actually having a growth but jobless growth. Okay, huge unemployment, and where is this, somebody say that okay, where is this unemployment, where is the rate? Okay, we need to think also that we should have the fair and a transparent look on the database, how much unemployment is there, and how many the graduates are actually looking for the jobs, how many PGs are looking for the jobs, how many doctors are looking for the jobs, and on that basis the government can frame some policies. Okay, then this female empowerment is the participation in the labor force. In India, this female empowerment is empowering the women. Okay, politically, economically, socially. Whether they are really empowered or not, it's a big question. Okay, it's a question of research. Then you can think that whether we are really empowered or not, because in the labor participation, if they are not participating, so that means we are lacking in the output actually, because this indicator is the very important, the labor how much percentage the women are in the labor participations. Then quality at small medium enterprises, that is also much important because they are contributing a huge in the GDP exports. In the export as a percentage of GDP, and that we need to think that, so that we can think on the quality aspect, so that we can make some quality products and services and then export to the other countries. Then lower investment in R&D is less than 7%, 0.7% of the GDP. Then this is also what important, that is the fiscal deficit. We have a huge fiscal deficit, and we should think and on the non-productive expenditures actually. We need to think of the expenditures should be productive in nature. We should focus more on the productive expenditures, on like more roads, the hospitals, the infrastructure, the railways. Okay, the good institutions for the youth, so that we can convert our human capital to the scale capital. That is. Though the fiscal deficit is good if it is if all the expenditure are productive in nature, but in India you will find a lot of expenditure is non-productive in nature actually. Then the governance and corruption issue, you can see some of the data in the morning. I will take this data in Transparency International 2002-3 Corruption Perception Index. That means out of 180 countries you will find 0 means highly corrupt and 100 means very clean. So India scored 39 actually. These are the international reports. You can see if 0 means highly corrupt and 100 means very clean. So we are India score, the value of for India is 39. So that means we need to think on the India ranked 93 out of 180 countries in the perception index, and that means the rank is 93. Then HDI score, Human Development Index score, that is near to 1 is much better. It's a 0 to 1. HDI index is from 0 to 1. The latest value for India is 0.644. That means in 2022 positioning at 134. That means that India is nowadays at 134 position in Human Development Index, and that is comprising of 3 indicators. I think health, expenditure, education, and the school per capita income. I think the 3 indicators that will be need to focus. That is, it's not easy to increase the total factor productivity in India. We need to think on this parameter also. These are not Indian reports. These are the UN reports, some international reports, and I have taken the data mostly from the international reports, the World Bank and WIPO and many others. And one is the legal hurdles. In India you will find we need legal reforms. at all levels. It is not the lower judiciary, but it is the medium and the high courts and the Supreme Courts also. We need reforms structure so that we can have a transparent systems, we can have a job-oriented systems, so that everyone finds the good health, good education, and can participate in contributing to the aggregate output. So that means this discussion is actually that how we can increase the total factor productivity. This is not only the labor, it is not only the capital, but it is something more that is much required. It is the technology, entrepreneurship, good governance, expenditure from the government. So it's the everything at the macro level. I think these are the factors that must be taken consideration at the policy level, so that we can have India. We can have a dream India. We can have India that can we can say at the path where we really want India. That must be at that level of the development. So this is from my side. If you have any question regarding the total factor productivity and why India should focus on some of the issues, macroeconomic issues, because nowadays we are in a global economy, global society, so we need to think actually internationally. We are not actually like in education. We need to increase the efficiency and the productivity, and that's why we are always the productivity of the student, the productivity of the teacher. Okay, so these efficiency and the productivity measures should be in all the sectors. And when we are talking about the India, so that means we all, as I am an economic scholar, so my concern is about that how we can increase our aggregate output, how we can increase our real GDP, so that everyone have a good per capita income and can contribute to the society. Because it's not the number that is much important, it is the society, it is the inclusion of the society that is much more important. Okay, that means the labor, we have a huge labor force. You practically you can see in every, at labor shop in the district, you will find a lot. But we need more skilled labor actually. We have a huge graduates, the population, the doctorate, master degree holders, the graduates. We need the skilled graduate actually, who have skill. So my point of concern is that it is the time to think at root level actually. Good quality education, good health, transparency, and many other macroeconomic indicators, so that we can achieve a Viksit Bharat, Sabha Bharat. Thank you very much, Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.
Wonderful session, and it has been an absolute privilege to have had the opportunity to learn from you. I'm sure all of us have gained invaluable insight and knowledge from this session. Now I would like to request Dr. Subal, Professor Subal, to honor and felicitate our expert with a memento. Thank you so much everyone for the patient listening.